Imagine you are sitting across from your daughter at the dinner table. She lives abroad. She married someone from another country. She has two beautiful children, your grandchildren, and she calls you this week with one simple question. She says, "Dad, are my kids still Canadian?" And you pause, you put down your fork, and you realize you genuinely do not know the answer. That pause, that moment of quiet uncertainty at the dinner table, is exactly what this video is about. Because right now, in 2026, that question has a brand new answer, and millions of Canadian families do not know it yet. My name is Joseph, and welcome to Canada Pension Guide. This channel exists for one reason: to make sure that you and your family never get blindsided by a government rule change that you had every right to know about. If you are new here, please subscribe right now, because we cover CPP, OAS, GIS, and every major policy shift that touches the lives of Canadians and their families. And we do it with verified facts, not guesswork. Today, we are covering something that goes beyond pensions. This is about Canadian citizenship itself, and a law that came into force on December 15, 2025, that is already changing lives, for better and for worse, depending entirely on whether you know about it. Now, before we go any further, I need to give you a direct warning. If you close this video in the next few minutes without hearing what I am about to tell you, here is what could happen to your family. Your family member living abroad may already be a Canadian citizen right now and be traveling on the wrong passport. They may be missing access to Canadian rights, Canadian health care, and Canadian travel documents, all because no one told them the law changed. Or, if they have a baby right now and a key 1,095-day requirement was not met, that child may have permanently lost the right to Canadian citizenship by descent, and that window cannot be reopened. And finally, even families who want to act immediately are looking at a government processing backlog of approximately 10 months just to receive the certificate that proves citizenship. 10 months. That is why timing matters, and that is why you need to stay right here. Let us break this down into 5 clear points. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what changed, who it affects, and precisely what to do to protect your family. Point number 1. What Bill C-3 is, and why a court ruling forced the government's hand. In December 2023, the Ontario Superior Court made a landmark ruling. It found that Canada's citizenship law contained an unconstitutional restriction, specifically, a rule called the First Generation Limit. That rule, which had been in place since 2009, said that if you were born outside Canada to a Canadian parent who was also born outside Canada, you did not qualify for citizenship by descent. The court said that was wrong. Rather than appeal the decision, the federal government chose to rewrite the Citizenship Act entirely. The result was Bill C-3. It received royal assent on November 20, 2025, and officially came into force on December 15, 2025. This is not rumor. This is not social media noise. This is confirmed, verified federal legislation, and it changes citizenship rules in 2 very significant directions at the same time. Point number 2. The retroactive restoration that could mean your family member is already Canadian. Here is the most important thing I want you to hear in this entire video. Under Bill C-3, if a person was born before December 15, 2025, and they were denied Canadian citizenship solely because of the old first-generation limit, they are now automatically considered a Canadian citizen. The law goes backward in time and restores what was wrongfully taken. This could apply to the children, grandchildren, and in some cases, great-grandchildren of Canadian citizens who were born and raised abroad. Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, has acknowledged this may affect hundreds of thousands of people around the world. If you have a family member who was born outside Canada to a Canadian parent who was also born outside Canada, that person may be eligible for Canadian citizenship right now, today, without applying for it. They simply need to prove it. And the way they prove it is by submitting Form CIT 0001 the application for a citizenship certificate. That form is available on canada.ca, and it is their legal gateway to everything that follows: a Canadian passport, Canadian rights, and Canadian identity. Point number 3, the brand new 1,095-day rule that is catching new parents completely off guard. Now here is where the law shifts from restoration to restriction, and this is the part that every new parent and expecting parent absolutely needs to hear. For children born on or after December 15, 2025, a new physical presence test now applies. If the Canadian parent was born outside Canada, meaning they hold citizenship by descent, not by birth on Canadian soil, that parent must now prove they lived in Canada for at least 1,095 days before the child was born. That is 3 full years, and it must be documented with real, tangible evidence: school records, employment history, tax returns, health card records. A Canadian passport is not enough. IRCC has been explicit about that. A passport proves you entered Canada. It does not prove you lived there. So, if you know a Canadian citizen living abroad who is planning to have children, this rule is not something to think about later. It is something to address right now, before that child is born. Because once the birth happens without those requirements being met, the door closes. Point number 4, the 6 document traps that are getting applications delayed, returned, and denied in 2026. This is where families lose months, sometimes the entire year, because of mistakes that are entirely avoidable. Trap number 1 is submitting the wrong birth certificate. Almost everyone has a short form birth certificate. That is the small card, the simple document that most of us pull out when we need ID. IRCC will not accept it. They require the long form provincial birth certificate for every person in the generational chain. Order it now from the province or country of birth before you do anything else. Trap number 2 is a broken chain of documentation. To prove citizenship by descent, you must establish an unbroken paper trail from the Canadian ancestor down to the applicant. If there was a name change due to marriage anywhere in that family history, and you do not have the marriage certificate to explain it, your chain is broken. A broken chain means a delayed or refused application. Trap number 3 is filling in the CIT 0001 form in your web browser. This is a simple technical mistake that is costing people weeks. That form must be downloaded and opened in Adobe Acrobat Reader. It will not function correctly in Chrome, Safari, Firefox, or any other browser. Download Acrobat first, then open the form. Trap number 4 is applying online when your case requires a paper submission. If your citizenship claim spans more than 1 generation born outside Canada, meaning your Canadian parent was also born abroad, IRCC generally requires that application to be submitted by paper. Submitting it through the online portal in these cases can result in the application being returned to you, costing you months of processing time. Trap number 5 is crossing the Canadian border to claim citizenship without documentation in hand. If you believe you may now qualify as a Canadian citizen under Bill C-3, do not show up at the border and say so without your certificate. The order of operations is clear. First, apply for and receive the citizenship certificate. Second, apply for a Canadian passport. Third, travel. Do it in that order, or you risk serious complications at the border. Trap number 6 applies to a smaller group, but it is important. For some families, automatic citizenship under Bill C-3 is actually unwanted, perhaps because of tax implications or because a person's home country does not permit dual citizenship. If that applies to your family, the Government of Canada has introduced a simplified renunciation process specifically for those who became Canadian automatically under the new law and wish to formally decline it. This option is available, and it should be explored with a qualified immigration professional. Now let me stop here for just a moment. Before we move to the protection plan, I want to hear from you directly. Type in the comments right now, your country or province, and the word family. Just those 2 things. Tell me where you are and that this topic matters to you personally. Because every week I read the comments on this channel, and what I see is that these rules are not abstract policy for you. They are real decisions that affect real people that you love. So write your country or province and the word family right now in the comments below, and let me know your family's situation. Now let us move to your protection plan, your safety shield. So you leave this video with a clear, calm, actionable path forward. Step 1. Go to canada.ca today and search for the page titled Proof of Canadian Citizenship. That is your official home base. Bookmark it. Everything else in this process begins from that page. Step 2. Download Form CIT-0001, the application for a citizenship certificate. Remember, you must open it with Adobe Acrobat Reader, not your browser. Read through the entire eligibility checklist before you fill in a single field. Understand which category your family member falls under before you begin. Step 3. Order the long-form birth certificates. Do this for the applicant and for every person in the chain of Canadian descent going back to the original Canadian ancestor. Contact the relevant provincial vital statistics office or the equivalent authority in the country of birth. This step often takes the longest, so start it immediately. Step 4. Gather your supporting documentation. Marriage certificates for every name change in the family history, the Canadian ancestor's original citizenship certificate or Canadian birth certificate. And if the applicant was born on or after December 15, 2025, gather all physical presence evidence proving the required 1,095 days in Canada. Step 5. If your situation involves multiple generations born outside Canada, or if you have any doubt about which category applies to your family, do not guess. Consult a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, an IRCC, or a registered Canadian immigration lawyer. 1 hour with a qualified professional can save you 12 months of delays, a returned application, or worse, a denial. Step 6. Submit your application as early as possible. Processing times are currently running approximately 10 months. Every week you delay is a week added to the back end of that timeline. The families who act now are the ones who have their certificates in hand by year's end. Here is the truth about Bill C-3 in plain terms. This law is one of the most significant changes to Canadian citizenship in a generation. For many families, it is a gift, a retroactive restoration of rights that should never have been taken away. For others, it introduces a new requirement that demands immediate attention. And for all of us, it is a reminder that the Canadian government's rules are always evolving, and the families who stay informed are the families who stay protected. If this video gave you clarity, I want to ask you one favor. Share it with one person in your life who has family living outside Canada. One share from you could be the reason a family member discovers they are already Canadian and claims the rights that belong to them. And if you have not yet subscribed to Canada Pension Guide, now is the moment. Hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. Every week on this channel, we publish verified, fact-checked guidance on CPP, OAS, GIS, immigration policy, and every government program that affects your life and the lives of the people you love. This community is built on accuracy, on trust, and on the belief that every Canadian deserves to understand the system that governs them. Joseph will be here every week to walk you through it. We will see you in the next video.